Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Caden. I'll be your host today. November has officially ended and December has officially begun, which is amazing. I'm so excited for this month. I'm so excited for Christmas, which, if you know me, I'm usually not one of those like Christmas bitches, or at least not a hardcore like Christmas bitch. But this year, girl, I'm in the mood for it. So yeah. I'm super excited and happy to be in December, but with November ending, I figured let's go over all the books that I read in the month of November. Now, this is actually like a pretty piss poor reading wrap up because one, every book that I read this month was like kind of just like the same for me. And by that I mean I rated them all the exact same. All these books are 3.5 stars. And I only read 5 books. Still a very decent amount. Still like I'm reading, but I didn't get as much done as I was hoping to, which is quite unfortunate. But that's okay because I still got some done. I don't know. And we have December, so it's something. Without further ado, let me get into the 5 books that I read in the month of November. So the first book that I have, I actually just barely missed like the mark of finishing it for October, and I'm low-key still kind of upset about it, but that's okay. And that is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I've had this on my shelves since 8th grade, I think. I'm pretty sure like 8th grade was when I got this. It's taken me that long to read it. This is a pretty standard rom-com with a witch named Vivian and a male witch, a warlock named Reese. And basically 9 years ago, Reese and Vivian dated, and then they broke up, and Vivian got wine drunk and cursed Reese, which, same girl, same. I do the same thing, so me core, anyway. And basically, now Reese has come to town to basically do this little family tradition thing that that the whole town does, that his family does for the whole town, basically just like keeping the magic in. I actually don't fully remember, except since he's cursed, it also kind of puts a curse on the town, and together Vivian and Reese have to try and fix their little mistake. I think this was like a pretty fun rom-com. The thing is, not very memorable. Like, it was kind of just like a read and I'm done. I'm not really gonna think about this again. I honestly totally don't really remember what happened. Aside from like some fun moments. It's just not that special. I think it's a fun little holiday rom-com for like spooky season if you want something a little corny, a little cute, but even then I think there's better rom-coms out there. I don't know. It wasn't too stand out for me, but it also wasn't horrible. It was kind of adorably millennial corny, where it's oh my god. Where it's oh my god, this is so fucking cheesy, give it to me now. That's the energy. I don't know, just not that much to say about this, unfortunately. I don't really remember a whole lot. Then for my book club, at school, I read Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and I also, of course, gave this a 3.5 star. This is a YA dystopian where we are in a stage 5, I'll put the thing up here of what we're in this, where basically we have completely eradicated disease and death and aging. We completely eradicated anything that anything regarding mortality, it's gone. However, we still have scythes, which are these people who basically kill people who would have died statistically in order to keep the population control there. That was the worst way of explaining this, but yeah. And our main characters, Rowan and Citra, are chosen by a scythe to be his apprentices in order to become scythes themselves. And as they are training, they are exposed to a world of corruption and just a very heavy world and a lot of problems hiding inside of it. So here's the thing, I think the concept for this was very interesting. I think this did some pretty cool things with the world building, though the world building still felt a little lackluster in my opinion. Like, we're split up. America itself is split up into like Mid-America, whatever the fuck. I forget anywhere else actually. But there's like some actual like world building that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just like wasn't my favorite in terms of that. I think it was also quite dull at points. The whole middle of the book, I feel like we could have quickened the pace a little bit, and also, of course, being like a 2010s YA dystopia, there is a romance in this book, though Rowan and Citra have like zero chemistry at all. And I think they just work better as friends. I think just being like, oh, and also, I love you, I'm in love with you. It's like, I don't really care. And it kind of just like, it was whatever, you know? Oh, my bookmark. Aside from that, I think that Neal Shusterman has better dystopian works. If you want to try YA dystopian from this guy, try the Unwind series. I read the first book of that freshman year, and it's still stuck with me. I think Scythe was low-key kind of a flop. I'm like vaguely interested in the next books in the series, but like I may just Google summaries of them. Like, I don't know if I'm all that interested to see what happens. So yeah, I don't know, just kind of like a whatever YA dystopian that I'm not really gonna think about again. But like, worth your time if you're interested in conversations around mortality and stuff, which I don't know if I said this already, but I think the conversations in here around mortality and shit and corruption were quite interesting. It was just kind of bogged down by the rest of the book. So yeah. Then I read a little novella called We All Rot Eventually by Mia Ballard. Now, I am really interested in Mia Ballard as an author, of course, with her book Shy Girl that's been going around, that is now out of print. Is it back in print? I actually don't know. All I know is I have one of the like copies, like one of the only copies before it went out of print, which I'm very happy about. So glad I purchased that. But yeah. Anyway, this is a little horror novella about an actress. I forget her name. It's been a minute since I've read this. But she basically just wants to make her way in the acting world, of course. And she is going to stop at nothing to get that. It is very much so your typical female rage, like, it's very Maxine energy, like that movie, specifically in the, like, Pearl Maxine. It's very Maxine energy. I really fucked with it. I think it was very fun. It just wasn't, again, something that I'm really going to sit with for a long time. But I do think it was a very fun story. I think the horror, especially at the end, really got there. I will say I do believe this is an extreme horror novella. And I just kind of feel like some of the extreme horror could have been left out. Like, she, at one point, literally cheese graters a guy's nips off. And I feel like we could have done without that. Like, I think it was fun, it was very creative, but it just kind of felt like a little senseless. But just like a fun, interesting, like weird story, and I really did fuck with it. I don't know, just like I think she can do a lot better. Also, I do remember early on that the writing was very rough. The Mia Ballard used a lot in like the first. This is like an 80-90 page novella, and I think for the first like 20 to 30 pages there would literally be like 4 similes a page of her eyes were blue like the water, and like obviously better similes, but it was just like, I'm noticing it a lot. You're using it a little bit too much, babe. I think you need to like change it up a little bit. So I am excited to read more of her writing. I am really excited to read Shy Girl specifically, but just like I think it was a little rough. I think this was one of her first stories, and you can kind of tell. But honestly, I would highly recommend it. Like, it's a very fun splatter, not splatterpunk, but like extreme horror book. Honestly, I would say it's a little bit more splatterpunk than extreme horror. I feel like it has a little bit more meaning to it. It also is just like a lot more well written than other extreme horror stories I've read. So I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, would highly recommend. A lot of fun, great time. The next book that I read, of course, with Frankenstein coming out and the new Charlie XCX song, which, oh my god, that is like my favorite song right now. So fucking good. Anyway, I of course was in the gothic horror vibe, and I decided to finish something that I started in October and just kind of like kept putting off, but your girl was in the mood for it. And that is the very first gothic horror novel, the one that started it all, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. Now, this is a very fun story. I think it's very interesting, and I would love to see this redone and retold, or like made into a movie like now. This takes place in like 1700s Spain, I believe, where this king and his family reside in this castle, and one day the son and the inheritor of the throne is crushed by a floating helmet. I shit you not, that is such a fun start to this book. And killed. And from there, we basically follow the family into a descent into madness. There's a odd stranger that shows up into the town. There's some like really weird familial stuff that it feels a little predatory. It's like, it's a very interesting gothic horror. Now, here's the thing is you do have to keep in mind that your expectations should be a little bit lowered. I heard the first gothic horror story and saw this cover and said, this is going to be like Dracula and like Frankenstein. Like, this is going to give me that energy. No. It's very different. It is a lot slower, a lot less horror, in my opinion. It reads a lot more like a fictional, like, just a typical, like, fantasy story, I guess, for lack of a better term, of just, like, medieval politics, almost. This is the 1700s. That wasn't really medieval, but you get what I'm saying. Like, very fairy tale-esque-ish. I can't explain it well, my bad. It's a lot less horror, though. However, the few horror moments that there were, honestly, a couple of them did freak me out a little bit. I think we had some unique haunting ideas with, like, an ogre in the castle, or a troll. One of the two. I think troll, actually. No, a giant. Neither of them, my bad. It was a giant, and it was pretty freaky. I think this got a little scary, I will say. The second half of the book didn't really make a lot of sense to me, and that is because this is also written in, like, older English. Like, this doesn't... It's a little dense. Like, you need to be able to sit and, like, take the time to understand, and I just, like, was not in the mood to... I couldn't wrap my brain around what was happening. I was just, like, out of it. Also, because I was reading a Colleen Hoover book around this time, which will be, I think I'll still make a video on at some point. But, like, oh my fucking god, the brain rot was real. I really couldn't understand the second half of this book. However, I still really fuck with it. I would highly recommend just, like, go in with, like, an open mind and, like, remember that this is old as fuck and it shows its age, but it's still pretty fun. Last but not least, I read another classic, and it is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. By F. Scott Fitzgerald, okay? we all know Zelda wrote this herself. We all know the story. But anyway, I read this for AP Lit after Fahrenheit 451. This was the next book that was assigned to us. I also annotated the fuck out of this, like, crazy. I low-key ate this the fuck up, but I don't think it was much better than a 3.5. If you don't know what this is about a man named Nick who moves to, like, upstate New York with a bunch of millionaires, and he gets acquainted with this one millionaire, this new money millionaire named Gatsby. And they start canoodling. I don't really know, not canoodling, but, like, canoodling. They start talking. I don't really know how else to, like, describe that. It's The Great Gatsby. If you don't know, you don't know. If you know, you know, you know? But yeah. I think the story worked a lot better as a character study. Like, it's more fun to analyze than to actually read. I honestly don't really give a fuck about anything that was happening. I was more interested in dissecting the characters and getting to argue with people about who the bad people were and about the story. Like, it's just, like, kind of whatever. It's a little bit of, like, a dull, boring book, but, like, I could write several fucking essays about how much I hate Nick Carraway, how much I cooked up on this fucking essay, and I put my shit together. Like, any shit that I used to, like, write this essay, I came up with not only just the night before, but literally, like, 10 minutes before class. And I locked the fuck in, and I got a 4 out of 5 on that essay, okay? I cooked, because this is so easy to write about, and I have so much to say. But, like, girl, the story itself was low-key kind of uninteresting. And that is why it sits at a 3.5. Also because some of the shit in here aged incredibly badly. And I know it's like, Hayden, it's from the fucking 1920s. Of course, it's not going to age well. No shit. But also, they brought up the Nordic race. And chapter 4 of this book is just Nick Carraway looking at Mr. Wolfsheim and going, his expressive nose, his tiny beady eyes, and his Jewishness, and also his nose shadowed Gatsby's face. I shit you not, some of this is like verbatim in the book. His expressive nose shadowed his face. You got me fucked up. I hate Nick Carraway, and I know it wasn't just added because of his character, even though I'm pretty sure I argued that it might have been. I don't know. Fuck Nick Carraway. He's an anti-Semitic piece of shit who's bigoted as fuck. So is Tom, but, like, Tom is a piece of shit. We already know. He, like, fuck that guy. Fuck Nick Carraway more. Yeah. Also, any bitch who wants to say Daisy is evil or the worst character ever, you are wrong, and I will actually fight. Because what do you mean she's the worst character when her husband's bringing up the Nordic race and saying we need to preserve the Nordic race or whatever the fuck? And also, Nick Carraway is literally being anti-Semitic as fuck, and, like, what? Anyway, got me fucked up. Pretty good, very fun to analyze whatever book. Like, it's a mediocre book. Also, really quick note about the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio is not a believable fucking Gatsby. Y'all got me fucked up. He was not a good Gatsby. Him saying old sport read as an actor acting, bitch. Like, come on, play the fucking role. Anyway, 3.5 stars. Pretty fun, would recommend, but, like, analyze it, you know? Like, go into it expecting not really to get much out of the story and more, like, having fun dissecting the characters and talking about it. That is all the books that I read in the month of November. It was a very rough month. I thought I was going to be more productive over Thanksgiving break than I was. But yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you like bookish content, I do a lot of, or like horror content in general, movies, books, whatever the fuck. I'm trying to expand more into movies. I know I have literally been saying that for months and months on end. I'm trying so hard, guys. I promise you. I am fighting for my life out here. Anyway, Yeah, so like and subscribe. Come talk to me. Tell me if you've read these books. What books you read in July. July, bitch. What books you have read in November, whether you want to read these, if you have read these, tell me your opinions down below. Yeah, I'm gonna go chill the fuck out and order dinner. I love you all so much. Bye!